In the year 12 AD, in the very heart of Rome, a child was born. No one could have imagined that this baby would one day become the most feared and cruel ruler in Roman history. His name was Caligula. From 37 to 41 AD, for only 4 years he ruled the Roman Empire. But those 4 years were enough to stain his name with blood, madness, and terror for centuries to come. Born into a family already known for instability and cruelty, Caligula's childhood was filled with trauma, paranoia, and violence, the perfect breeding ground for a monster. His first signs of madness appeared early, driven by deep insecurity and a twisted ego. He couldn't stand the idea of anyone looking down on him, so he forced everyone around him to shave their heads, ensuring no one could appear taller. But that was just the beginning. Soon, he ordered the heads of statues of gods to be cut off and replaced with his own face. He declared himself a living god, demanding people worship him and offer human sacrifices in his name. His corruption and depravity reached terrifying levels. He impregnated his own sister, then ordered her belly cut open before birth so he could see the unborn child. When she later died, Caligula forbade the people of Rome from smiling, bathing, eating together, or even speaking in public during her mourning period. Yet, despite his cruelty, Caligula gave himself noble titles: Father of the Nation, the greatest ruler, the most faithful, ironically, all invented by himself. The Roman emperors were considered divine, but for Caligula that illusion became an obsession. He genuinely believed he was a god, building temples in his honor and demanding that priests sacrifice animals and sometimes humans to him. If you looked him in the eye, it could mean your death, and not a quick one. He had engineers design machines that slowly tore flesh from living bodies, and he took pleasure in watching it happen, often while dining, tasting his food as if cruelty itself were a delicacy. To refill the empire's drained treasury, he executed wealthy citizens and seized their assets. When that wasn't enough, he opened a massive imperial brothel, forcing the wives and daughters of Rome's senators to work there. At its opening, Caligula stood before the crowd and declared, "People of Rome, look, your God brings you gifts. The wives of your senators, yours to enjoy for a price." He despised the Senate so much that he tried to make his horse a senator, even building a palace for it, feeding it gold-dusted oats, and sleeping beside it. When he rode through Rome, senators were forced to run beside his chariot for hours. Sometimes he made them dress as women and dance, laughing as they humiliated themselves. He especially loved mocking overweight senators. They were always his first choice for these performances. He turned gladiator games into acts of horror. Instead of trained fighters, he threw the sick, the elderly, or the disabled into the arena. He made dwarfs battle each other for sport, and threw random spectators to wild beasts just to see the crowd's reaction. When officials complained that the cost of feeding lions was too high, Caligula ordered prisoners to be fed to the animals instead. But Caligula's greatest fear was being forgotten. Unlike other emperors remembered for wars or disasters, his reign was relatively calm, so he prayed for a catastrophe, a great defeat, an earthquake, anything, just to make his name eternal. In one bizarre episode, he led his legions to the sea to fight Neptune, the god of the ocean. They won, and Caligula ordered his soldiers to collect seashells as war trophies. He once told a loyal general, "You're too honest, too pure. Therefore, you cannot be a true Roman," and had him executed for treason. By 41 AD, the people and even his own guards could take no more. One night, after attending a performance, Caligula was ambushed in a tunnel by his own bodyguards. He was stabbed more than 30 times, his body torn apart, pieces fed to dogs, and the rest buried in a shallow grave. His wife and daughter were also murdered that same night. After his death, the Senate tried to erase his name from history, his statues destroyed, his memory cursed. But Caligula's shadow lived on. Over the centuries, writers, artists, and filmmakers recreated his madness. Even today, many of the villains we see in movies, cruel, paranoid, and godlike, are inspired by him. Historians believe he may have suffered from epilepsy, schizophrenia, or severe neurological disorders. But whatever the reason, his name remains a symbol of absolute power gone insane. The image you see now is a digital reconstruction of Caligula's real face, based on surviving sculptures. Interestingly, artists of his time gave him thick hair not because he had it, but because they were too afraid to depict him as bald. And remember, what you've just heard is only a fraction of what Caligula truly did. The rest is too horrific to describe. If you want to uncover more dark and forgotten stories from history, subscribe to the channel and follow on Instagram for more hidden truths from the past. Because sometimes the scariest monsters aren't born in legends, they're born in Rome.